Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama.
What? Okay. I apologize, devotees. I don't know how the sound all went off. I have to start over. But stay on anyway. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Krishna Krishna, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, devotees, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll continue the sound, kirtan. Just a couple more minutes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class from Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 37. Before I begin, I'd like to apologize for an unforeseen circumstance where I was getting ready to start and somehow everything went blank, sound, everything. I had to start over. And so, well, that's technology, it happens. So, this morning, as I said, Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, 37, Text 37. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari, Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pariksit, Astottara Satyasya Shrimadi Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pariksit, Astottara Satyasya Shrimadi Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, Jagannath Swami ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya, Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namaste. Namaste Krishna Padaya, Prabhupada Chitatmani, Sri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha. Narayana Namaskritya Narun Chevam Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, answers by citing the Lord's version. Text 37. Etan mataṁ samātiṣṭha, parameṇa samādhinā, bhavān kalpa-vikalpeṣu, na vimuhyati karhicit. Etan mataṁ samātiṣṭha, parameṇa samādhinā, bhavān kalpa-vikalpeṣu, na vimuhyati karhicit. Etan mataṁ samātiṣṭha, parameṇa samādhinā, bhavān kalpa-vikalpeṣu, na vimuhyati karhicit. Please chant.
etan mataṁ samātiṣṭha parameṇa samādhinā bhavān kalpa-vikalpeṣu na vimuhyati karhicit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Please chant.
एतन्मतं समातिष्ठ परमेण समाधिना भवान् कल्पविकल्पेषु न विमुह्यति कर्हिचित्. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Etan mataṁ samātiṣṭha parameṇa samādhinā bhavān kalpa-vikalpeṣu na vimuhyati karhicit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to the word for word. Etat, this. Mataṁ, the conclusion. Samātiṣṭha, remain fixed. Parameṇa, by the supreme. Samādhinā, concentration of the mind. Bhavān, yourself. Kalpa, intermediate devastation. Vikalpeṣu, in the final devastation. Na vimuhyati, will never bewilder. Karhicit, anything like complacence. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Brahmā, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Report by Srila Prabhupada. It's a little long, so be a little patient. As in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has summarized the whole text in 4 verses, namely, Aham Sarvasya Bhavava, etc. So the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in 4 verses, Aham as Aham Evasam Evagre, etc. Thus, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavatate conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was also the original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. There are many grammarians and non-devotee material wranglers who have tried to present false interpretations of these 4 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Lord himself advised Brahmaji not to be deviated from the fixed conclusion the Lord had taught him. The Lord was the teacher of the nucleus of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses, and Brahma was the receiver of the knowledge. Misinterpretation of the word aham by the word jugglery of the impersonalist should not disturb the mind of the strict followers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees, who are also known as the Bhagavatas. And any outsider should have no access to this confidential literature of devotional service. But unfortunately, the impersonalist, who has no relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sometimes tries to interpret Srimad Bhagavatam by his poor fund of knowledge in grammar and dry speculation. Therefore, the Lord warns Brahma, and through Brahma, all future devotees of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Brahma, that one should never be misled by the conclusion of the so-called grammarians or by other men with a poor fund of knowledge, but must always fix the mind properly via the parameṇa system. No one should try to give a new interpretation by dint of mundane knowledge. And the first step, therefore, in pursuance of the system of knowledge received by Brahma, is to approach a bona fide guru who is the representative of the Lord following the parameṇa system. No one should try to squeeze out his own meaning by imperfect mundane knowledge. The guru, or bona fide spiritual master, is competent to teach the disciple in the right path with reference to the context of all authentic Vedic literature. He does not attempt to juggle words to bewilder the student. The bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. Without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impersonalists and dry speculators, life after life, sorry, and would be unable to reach the final conclusion. So, without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impersonalists and dry speculators, life after life, and would be unable to reach the final conclusion. So this is a big, even though we haven't finished, a big indication of the importance of the spiritual master. Let's continue. By following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master in conjunction with the principles of revealed scriptures, the student will rise to the plane of complete knowledge, which will be exhibited by development of detachment from the world of sense gratification. The mundane wranglers are surprised that one can detach himself from the world of sense gratification, and as any attempt to be fixed in God realization appears to them to be mysticism. This detachment from the sensory world is called the Brahma stage of realization, the preliminary stage of transcendental devotional life, para bhakti. The Brahma stage of life is also known as the Atmaram stage, in which one is fully self-satisfied and does not hanker for the world of sense enjoyment. This stage of full satisfaction is the proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 20, affirms this. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, in the completely satisfied stage of life, exhibited by full detachment from the world of sense enjoyment, as a result of performing devotional service, one can understand the science of God in the liberated stage. In this state of full satisfaction and detachment from the sensory world, one can know the mystery of the science of God with all its confidential intricacies, and not by grammar or academic speculation. Because Brahmā qualified himself for such reception, the Lord was pleased to disclose the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. This direct instruction by the Lord to any devotee who is detached from the world of sense gratification is possible, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10. The Lord says what he would do. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogantam jenamam upayantite. Unto the devotees who are constantly engaged in the Lord's transcendental loving service, priti purvakam, the Lord, out of his constant mercy upon the devotee, gives direct instructions so that the devotee may be able to make accurate progress on the path of returning home back to Godhead. One should not therefore try to understand these four verses of Srimad Bhagavatam by mental speculation. Rather, by direct perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is able to know all about his abode, Vaikuntha, as was seen and experienced by Brahmāji. Such Vaikuntha realization is possible by any devotee of the Lord situated in a transcendental position as a result of devotional service. In the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Shruti, it is said, Kalpa-vikalpeṣu na Vishu me purusha purushtad avibhabuva. The Lord appeared before Brahmā as a cowboy. That is, as the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Govinda, who is later described by Brahmāji in his Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 29. Chintamani prakara satma kalpa-vikalpeṣu laksha vite susurabi abhipalayantam lakshmi sahasa sambrahma sevamanam govindamari purisham tamaham bhajami. Brahmaji desires to worship the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, who resides in the topmost Vaikuntha planet known as Golok Vrindavan, where he is in the habit of keeping Surabhi cows as a cowboy, and where he is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, the gopis, with love and respect. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Lord, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is also clear from this instruction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, and not directly Narayan or the Purusha avatars, which are subsequent manifestations. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is a sound representation of the Lord as much as the Bhagavad Gita is. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is a science of the Lord in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. Om Gyanati Mirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Tapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshacharini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachashe Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Excuse me. So we'll go over the translation. So this is Sri Krishna speaking. O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind. and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Without a doubt, there is so much in this particular text. This is the one immediately following the four root or the chapters Shloki, the four texts that put this Srimad Bhagavatam in a nutshell. For purposes of continuity, we'll start with the four texts themselves summarized in a very, very, very succinct way. Hopefully that will be helpful to all of us. The reason we're bringing the four shlokas up again is because of this translation. The Lord said, follow this conclusion. Fix your mind on this conclusion, and no pride will disturb you. Why pride? Well, Brahma was about to do the second creation, being coached in the heart by Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He was to create. In fact, he would be creating quite a bit on a daily basis. His daily basis, not ours, his daily basis. When he goes to sleep, part of the universe gets destroyed, the exception of four planetary systems. Everything goes. So when he wakes up, again, through the help of a reminder that the Lord gives him about the universal form, this is all in the Shastra, then he recreates that part that was missing. The medium planets down to the lower planets. Those get recreated on a daily basis for his daily time. It's billions of years. But then there's also the final conclusion, which is at the time Lord Brahma himself leaves after his 100 years, which works out to be 311 trillion years and 40 billion of our years at that time. So the Lord says, if you follow the conclusion from the roots, the four shlokas, then no pride will disturb you. Well, the pride was because Lord Brahma said, please help me. He asked a number of questions. And the last question was for protection, so that when he begins to create, do the second creation, the varieties of each universe, which is what Brahma does, for Brahma, one Brahma per universe. The varieties in the universe are created by Brahma. And he didn't want to get puffed up that, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this. So the Lord then gave him these four shlokas. And then he said, if you follow them, then while you're doing this, you won't feel puffed up. No pride will disturb you. Neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. The partial especially because after the partial devastation, Lord Brahma will have to create medium planets and lower planets. Now, would he get puffed up? Well, people tend to think, if I did this, this has been done through my intelligence, then they want to take credit for it. And Lord Brahma did not want to do that. Lord Brahma wants to give, as we should also, all credit to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for everything that happens. And it is not hard to prove that. Whatever we come up with, even at the level of intelligence that we have, whatever we're able to produce, one, we have to understand, without nature, we couldn't have done it. We cannot do anything without going to nature to take the starting materials. Did we put nature there? The answer is no. Lord Vishnu did. Therefore, we have to give credit to Lord Vishnu. All praises to Lord Vishnu for making it possible for us to start to produce anything in the first place, to produce anything in the first place. And that is supported by the very first statement of the four shlokas, which we'll get to. So everything depends on nature. Lord Brahma also had the universe. And the starting materials were in the universe. And then with the coaching of, I like to put the coaching of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he came up with the art. which we call the varieties in the universe, the planets, then the demigods, and their functions, and so on. So, Srila Prabhupada says, as it is in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna summarized the Bhagavad Gita, namely from 10th canto, Opulence of the Absolute, 8th chapter. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavu mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samādhinā. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Then he says, the wise who are aware of this, who perfectly know this, they engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Now, how does that relate to the first of the 4 slokas that describe Srimad Bhagavatam? In the first one, Krishna is telling Brahma, when there was no material world, spiritual is always there. When there was no material world, I was the only one that was there. When the material world came to be, again, that was still through Krishna, through the incarnation of Krishna, Lord Vishnu, specifically Mahavishnu, but that's an incarnation of Krishna. Then the material world came to be. And I maintain it. He says it in Vishnu form, he maintains it. And then when the material world goes away, everything is gone, who will be there? The Lord. So I was there before, previous, then I'm there, present, and in the future, when things go back to the cycle of it being gone, I will still be there. And here, the summary for Bhagavad Gita, in this particular text, Krishna says, I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. So that is the connection between the first sloka and this text that describes the Bhagavad Gita's summary. Actually, there are arguably some points to like 1866 Bhagavad Gita, but that says that you should abandon all varieties of religion, surrender to the Lord. In 1865, so many things. Those are points that we should do as devotees. But he being the one who everything came to be, as we like to explain, that the Lord is the reason for existence. Without the Lord, there is no existence, nothing. So the first shloka, the Lord was there before the beginning of the cosmos. It was through him the cosmos came to be. He is maintaining the cosmos, and after annihilation, it will still be there. The second one explains what connects to him and what does not connect to him. Anything considered separate from the Lord is actually not separate from the Lord. It is illusory energy. Just like the Lord describes the material energy as the separated energy. But the material energy is the one that puts us in illusion. And how many people in this planet are full of illusion. Many people are thinking that when we take what nature supplies and we fashion it as the third creators, remember the first one is Mahavishnu, second one is Brahmā, so the rest of us are third creators. Whatever we come up with, we are in the third level. Thinking that when we come up with these products from material nature, that it will make us happy. In the meantime, we're working very hard. In the meantime, we're getting old. In the meantime, disease hits us left and right. In the meantime, the demigods throw all kinds of weather at us, as it's snowing this morning where we are, and it's going to snow for quite a while. Schools are closed, some schools at least. To the old age, and then everything that we build as third creators from this material energy, we're going to leave it because death will come take it away. And still we think we're enjoying life. How crazy we become. Hmm? If you begin to think about this, life is literally, we're being mocked, but we don't even see it. So unless we connect with the spiritual energy of the Lord, the internal energy of the Lord, which is everlasting, everything about it. Hmm? The soul is Satchit Ananda, Sat, eternal, no death. Chit, all knowledge, no school necessary. Ananda, happy, no sadness. This is the energy that Srila Prabhupada is trying to get us to connect with, the internal energy of the Lord. So anything considered separate. If we live life separate from the Lord, we are in Maya. The Lord's illusory energy. I'm kind of laughing about it because when you think about it, who in their right mind is going to want to stay in Maya and think they're going to enjoy? Look around the world these days. Hmm? People are just fighting for power, and none of them have any power. They're fighting for power that doesn't exist. Because if the Lord, Lord Brahmā, goes to sleep, where's that power going to be? This planet and all the other planets will be destroyed. Where will be the power then? So-called leaders of the world that are vying for position, they will all be pulverized to dust. Because, and it is true, because the way it is described in the Shastra, when the worlds are being destroyed, it starts with fire. And you know what fire does? Hmm? It's called cremation. The entire world will be cremated, literally. Hmm? So what kind of power is this? It's illusory, it's temporary. So anything considered separate from the Lord is this illusory energy. Hmm? Then he explained that he is in the cosmos, and at the same time, he's outside the cosmos. We see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know his pastimes. He's outside the cosmos. Hmm? And he is in the cosmos. How? As a Paramatma. Paramatma, Super Soul, is everywhere. Hmm? And the fourth one, he says, whoever is searching for the absolute truth should understand this. Search for it up to these points that have been made. Those are the 4 points. Hmm? And then he tells Lord Brahma, stay with this. And in your job, the service that got you a little bit frazzled here because you think you might get proud. No, stay with that understanding. Everything is from the Lord. If you're going to get anything, if you're going to be dealing with anything that is separate from the Lord, your one is an illusory energy. And the Lord, you can't be like that, but he can be. He can be inside and also simultaneously outside. So the Lord described the power that he has. Aham savasya bhavava, matasava bhavatati. I am the source of both material and spiritual, and everything emanates from me. So that understanding, once that's there, we have nothing to worry about, provided we submit to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the way you submit is to follow his instructions. As is said later on in the purport, the Prabhupada brings up the importance of the spiritual master, which we'll get to. So, Srila Prabhupada, because we are in the material world, sometimes he brings up a section of his purport in order to defeat those who are going to be changing things and giving false interpretations. That is through his mercy. He warns us that these are the people. And sometimes we think, oh, well, when we are following the process and chanting Hare Krishna, so some people are material wranglers and they try to present different interpretations. Why should we worry about that? Well, you'd be surprised. Don't people fall down from the path? Why and how? Because they follow material people who say some things and mix it up and kinds of different interpretations in there and convince people who are devotees, who are first stuck with, hopefully, we thought stuck with ISKCON, they leave and they go somewhere else. Different situations have happened like that. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada in his wisdom says there are material wranglers. They will try to present false interpretations of these 4 verses. But the Lord himself advised Brahmaji not to be deviated from the fixed conclusion that the Lord had taught him. That's advice to us too, because when he was speaking to Arjuna in the Battle of Kurukshetra, the Bhagavad Gita, he was advising us also, not just Arjuna, not only Arjuna. So this, like his advice, Brahmaji, don't get confused. Don't follow what these material wranglers who change things would say. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, what is it? It is the text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees. It's also sometimes explained that he's a sound incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he left after his pastime, here he left us. What remained is Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we associate with Srimad Bhagavatam, we are associating with Krishna in sound. Therefore, Krishna is always there. He gives us even more mercy by allowing us to associate with the deity also. And then he allows us to associate with the spiritual master. Those are all Krishna in different aspects. The representative of Krishna is Guru. The Archa Vigraha is the Lord in deity form, so that with our material eyes we can see. And then Srimad Bhagavatam is the authorship, the reading part, the book part, book Bhagavatam of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's represented himself the way we can see him by the Archa Vigraha. He's represented, or he's here in the sound incarnation. And then he has a representative that can talk to us directly, the Guru. So in many ways, we don't have any excuse. If we don't follow Krishna consciousness, he has more than done what we need in order to prepare to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead permanently. He's more than done that. You could have given Guru alone, and that would have been enough. Guru alone. And in fact, it is that way. In Satya Yuga, it's like that. Only Guru. Only Guru. And Satya Yuga is one of the best of the 4 yugas. But they only have Guru. But now we have Guru, we have Sadhu, we have Shastra, and then we have Archa Vigraha. 4. So anyway, the first step, Srila Prabhupada says, in pursuance of this, the knowledge received by Brahma, the first step is to approach a bona fide Guru who is in the system of the cyclic succession. For us, we can cut to the chase and say, if you follow Srila Prabhupada, you are in the right parampara system, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya. That's the one that allows us to go to Krishna Loka. There are other sampradayas, but this particular one that we're in, following Srila Prabhupada and his line down to who we are now, that is his disciples or spiritual masters, and some of them who have disciples also, following them. As long as we stay with Srila Prabhupada's teachings, then we are in a bona fide parampara system. So, the Guru, or the bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada says, he is competent to teach the disciple in the right path, with reference to the context of authentic Vedic literature. So what we're doing here is taking the words of Guru and just simply repeating it. This is what Lord Chaitanya said to do. Just repeat what has been said and don't attempt to put any of our own speculation into it. Don't mess it up. You can give examples, but they should support what's in the spiritual, the books, in the Shastra. So the spiritual master, by his personal activities, they are chargers. They teach, but they also act. So by that, the spiritual master is able to teach the disciple the principles of devotional service. He says it and he does it. The spiritual master says, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Guess what he does? Same thing. He teaches it. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is actually stressed that, and this is a purport by Srila Prabhupada, and he was stressing that sometimes we struggle. We all know mind goes somewhere when we're trying to chant. We focus on the mantra by making sure that we move our tongues and our lips. And if we move your tongue and your lips, you will become the physical part of this face, the mouth. Tongue and lips will help us to chant and chant sincerely and chant with attention. See, if we chant with attention, then the sincerity also comes. You put in work. If you let go of the tongue and if you let go of the lips, then it becomes Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna. That's exactly what happens. But if you move your lips and you move your tongue, the tongue will make you pronounce Krishna out properly. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. The tongue makes you do that. Hare Rama. The Rama, then you have to put the two lips together at the M. So then you have to pronounce it properly. So if you're willing to move your tongue for the Krishna and move your lips for the Rama, you will pronounce them distinctly. And if you pronounce them distinctly, you will focus on it. There's no way you can pronounce distinctly and not focus. It's not possible. In that way, we concentrate on it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then you go at the pace that's comfortable, quick enough, but distinct enough. Give you an example, like you're on the highway, you're driving. Many of you in America are used to that, and other countries also. If you drive too fast, more than likely, your car, you will lose control over it and crash it. Same way, you don't chant too fast in the Krishna, because it all mixes up. That's no good. And if you chant too slow, well, other cars will come up to you, and you're not going the speed limit. You're going lower than the speed limit. Therefore, if you chant slow, sometimes your mind will also travel. So you have to remain in your lane and then drive the speed that is comfortable. That's the way you chant. And we chant distinctly, moving the tongue and moving the lips. Then we'll be able to chant properly. So see, the Prabhupada says, the detachment from the sensory world, Brahma-bhuta, that Brahma-bhuta stage is described in Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 20. It is also described in Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 18, Text 54. They both say the same thing, the end. When a person is growing because they're chanting distinctly and they put their hearts into serving, those two things are very important. In fact, there's a third one. They put their hearts into serving. When they see serving lovingly as an opportunity, when it comes up, I just go for it. Not try to stay away from it or come up with excuses not to do service. Then you're going the other way. You're falling and not realizing it. We have to be excited about the fact that the service is there. Look forward to, doing the service. And when the time comes, do it to the best of our abilities. That's how we should connect with devotional service. Serve, chant. We've already described how to chant. And then the third one is do not commit any offenses. Offenses is sabotage of our own devotional kripa. So if we do that, what's going to happen? We're going to become less and less and less attached to the material world and the things in the material world. It is very important to be detached because the material world businesses are trying to get us more and more attached by coming up with new products and advertising like crazy. They're finding different ways. Now, if you're watching some video, spiritual thing on YouTube, for example, then all of a sudden we already know that we get interrupted with all kinds of advertisements we don't even want to hear. Mm. But something I got to the point where in the middle of what you're watching, then some screen comes up and it wouldn't go away unless you have to find where the little X is in some corner somewhere to try to get it off. They're always trying to come after you, the minds. So we have to be careful. You have to be careful. We have to be more determined to be detached. So if we take Krishna consciousness seriously, then you realize this stage here, this life that we're living, is not a life that's going to give us real happiness. Srila Prabhupada says, actually, everything in the material world is bad. We categorize good and bad. But at the spiritual level, everything here is bad. If the soul, it's not hard to prove that. If the soul is Satchidananda, that is the nature of a soul. We like to live forever, but we don't get to live forever. We die. Is that good? Well, you just watch people's relatives when the person dies. Don't they break out into tears? Are they enjoying at that time? I don't need to answer that question. So there's no eternality. Then knowledge. Do we have all knowledge? No. If we have knowledge, how come we go to school? If there's all knowledge, how come there's still research? We don't know. So we don't have all knowledge. And when it comes to Ananda, happiness, at every level, family level, community level, at the national level, people can't find peace to save their lives. There's always anger. There's always disagreement. Where's the Ananda? So Srila Prabhupada just said in one sentence, everything in the material world is bad because everything is the opposite of Satchidananda. And everything, Satchidananda is good, therefore the opposite of Satchidananda has to be bad. But the good thing is we can get away from it. So get to the point of being disconnected from the material energy. Be here, but don't connect to what's going on as far as sense enjoyment is, material sense enjoyment. Connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So those who are, as we talked about, Bhagavatam 4, Canto 4, chapter 30, text 20, says the same thing as Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 54. So we'll read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 54 to wrap it up. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasochati Nakankshati Samasaveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhati Param. So the person who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. How does that happen? When we treat everybody with respect. This is what Lord Chaitanya asks us to do. Amadina Manadina. When we serve with our hearts, we're trying to develop love for Krishna. We cannot develop love for Krishna unless we serve with our hearts. And when that happens, and we chant sincerely and distinctly, just like we described, then we become closer and closer, or we get closer and closer and closer to this transcendental situation. We become detached and we become joyful. We also know we never lament or desire to have anything. If we have any desires, it should connect with something in Krishna consciousness. And it also should be whether the Lord would allow it. If it allows it, fine. If it doesn't, that's also okay. Even the things that happens to us that seem to be negative, there's always something that Krishna has planned underneath that is helpful to us. Some of you may know that I've had health challenges. 3 weeks in the hospital, 2 weeks in a facility. rehab facility. Did I get, and I don't want to talk myself so much, but did I get realizations? You bet. So much came that was positive. Things that I wasn't doing at first, but when the Lord put me down on a bed that I couldn't go anywhere, then there was only one thing left to hear. And I had a great time hearing, one after another. So now I've come out of it knowing so much, having so much appreciation for Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. But I was sick then. There's so much you can learn from. So he is equally disposed to this is the rest of it. Samātiṣṭha Bhuteshu. He's equally disposed towards every living entity. And in that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. So we have a great opportunity. If we downplay it, we are cheating ourselves. If we downplay it, we're cheating ourselves. We have to be, those of you who are married, you have to help your spouse to grow. You're very close to your spouse. You live with your spouse. You know what the strengths are. You know what the weaknesses are. Have discussions. The discussions should be such that we're helping each other to grow. And then if you have children, they watch the parents take Krishna consciousness seriously, and they will also take Krishna consciousness seriously because you're the example at home. If you're not married, you should be associating with other devotees, preferably those who take Krishna consciousness seriously, because you learn from them. They become like and coach. They become our coaches, even though we don't say that. But in the manner of speaking or in the manner of acting, they become our coaches. We watch what they do. And in that way, we will grow. So we will grow in Krishna consciousness, and we'll be very happy then. So the conclusion is Lord Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna tu Bhagavan Swayam. Clear instruction. He is not Narayan or Purusha as the original. Those are incarnations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The original is Sri Krishna himself. Bhavatam, second conclusion, means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhavatam is a sound representation of the Lord, as much as the Bhagavad Gita is also sound representation of the Lord. The final conclusion is that Srimad Bhavatam is the science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. And that's where our joy is if we connect with it. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for coming on. I'm also grateful to the Lord and to Guru for my voice to hold up. Last time it was very hoarse. So I'm getting better. It'll take a while. It'll take months practically for this body to come up to the way it used to be. But we're still serving to the best of our ability. So dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself. Comments, questions. So we start with dear Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, dear Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare
All
Krishna.
just to Srila Prabhupada. Hope you are feeling better.
Little by little.
Yeah. Prabhu, so one question is, like you mentioned, we should do everything for Krishna as per his desire. And if we have our own desires, we should engage those desires into Krishna's service. On that note, my desire most likely or often in this condition state will be coming from my own interpretation of the world or my desires or from my pride or from my whatever. So uh, even if I have to engage my desires into Krishna's service, what is the right way to do that? Because we always hear from Srila Rupa Goswami, anything we do should be favorable to Krishna. So if I'm just acting plainly or without any regulation from my desire, it might not be favorable to Krishna and devotees.
Very good question. Actually, I was going to start with answering the question by just what you pointed out. Sri Rupa Goswami says, accept all things favorable to devotional service. Bhakti Yoga comes with instructions. As we know, it's a sadhana, the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. We're told some things to do, offering obeisances, praying, and also chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Those are all very specific things that we do. That's there. And then there's what we want to do to serve the Lord. That's under the Karma Yoga, our activities, and we serve the Lord. And this is the part that the question actually connects to. I want to do something. How can I be sure that this is the right thing to do? First of all, the Shastra will back it up. You look in the Shastra, there will be some reference that connects to what is needed to be done. Number two, the part of the Shastra that we've talked about that already. Rupa Goswami says, whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, for devotion service, do. Whatever is unfavorable, remove that. Don't do it. So that will be an introspection. Our own mind. Is what I'm going to do favorable? Is what I'm going to do unfavorable? Then you choose or reject. But then sometimes, is what I'm going to do favorable? We don't quite have the answer for it. And that's when you have to seek advice. So the association is very important. You've got to put it in front of another person that you trust. There have been situations where even people have gone, and there's one sannyasi we know, well, I won't mention his name, but he was in one situation where he had to make a choice. He was either in one situation going to stay at one place, or in another situation he was going to travel around. Both of them involved service. It's not even a question of it's going to be right or wrong. No, it's a choice. But he wasn't sure which one to choose. So he went to my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, and presented what he was thinking. And the way he described it, Bhakti Maharaj gave him a big smile and says, choose the second one. Travel and preach, rather than stay at one place. He could have actually still served from where he was at. No question about it. And so that was good. The traveling, that's also possible. You'll meet people, but he wasn't sure. So we said that to say, it's good to get advice. There are so many of us that tend to keep things that we don't quite understand or know what to do. We don't quite know what to do. And we keep it. That's why so many times you hear people, after the class, you have to ask questions. And in everybody's mind, there's something they're not sure of. Don't think questions are stupid. There are no stupid questions. Come out and ask the questions. But you have to ask it respectfully. If you begin to challenge, then you're already committing offenses. You've been the very first offense in chanting the holy name. You're already disturbing the bodies. Don't ask in a challenging way. You approach a spiritual master, you inquire in a submissive way. Now, spiritual master is not only spiritual master that initiates you. There are three types of spiritual masters. The one that brings you to Krishna consciousness first, called Vatma Pradakshina Guru. The one that instructs, Shiksha Guru. And then one that initiates, Diksha Guru. He says, approach a spiritual master. He didn't say approach the initiating spiritual master. He says, approach spiritual master. And so anyone you talk to, you have to approach in a submissive way. Just be respectful, that's all. If you challenge the person, then that's a problem. It will be counted as it would be counted as an aparad. Aparad is offense. And then you have to pay for it. Don't put yourself in that situation. So yeah, when you need help, you go ask the person that you can trust and get their opinion. You can ask more than one person and get opinions from there. And pray about it also. Vandana is one of the 9 loving ways in which we serve the Supreme Personality of God. Pray about it. The answers will come too. That way. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for asking the questions. Very nice question.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Or you can make comments too. Don't be shy. Okay. So we're past the hour now. So thank you for coming on to share. And I thank the Lord that my voice also held up. Last time was very hoarse. Anyway, so have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Be careful. Those of us in this area, it's snowing. So be careful. And always keep chanting the holy name of the Lord. And hear. Chant distinctly. Believe me, chant distinctly. You won't have problems with the mind roaming. It won't. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhishcha kripa sunibe eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shirupad ki jai. Thank you again. I saw the electronic thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai.